Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first annual Honor Orchestra concert, everyone. Thank you for coming. Well, you can clap for Christine. Sorry, I had to run to get water in. My throat's parched again. First of all, because I'm probably going to forget if I keep speaking more sentences, if we can give a round of applause to Trustee Bonnie Cashy there. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for always supporting us. We really appreciate it. So this event actually hasn't existed for 4 years. The first time we ever done this was at Marina High School's gym. Thank you, John McGilligan, for setting that up back then. But that was all our orchestra students from every program in it. This year, the difference is that every student on here is of the top caliber of our programs that we've hand-selected from each school. So it's a legitimate honors ensemble. We have a very special guest conductor today, hailing from Arcadia High School, where she teaches 5 orchestra classes every single day, and she gives clinics. She's an amazing educator. This is actually her 3rd or 4th honor orchestra conducting gig. If you can help me with a round of applause and a warm welcome for our conductor, Chen. Thank you.
Hello. All right, thank you so much for that warm welcome. That was the Fidelio Overture. I was telling all of the students about the theme of our works today because it's not just about making music, but about saying a message with the music, as well as just understanding a little bit more about what it is we're playing. So if you're not familiar with Beethoven, raise your hand if you've heard of Beethoven. Okay, yay, all right, awesome. We're an educated audience in here. Fidelio is his one and only opera that he wrote. He's mostly known for his symphonies. And the Fidelio Overture is the music that happens before the opera. The opera itself is about this woman named Leonore, and her husband is unjustly imprisoned. And so what's interesting is that she now has to go and save her husband. What an interesting story from hundreds of years ago. So she dresses up as a prison guard to try and infiltrate the thing and try and save him. And the name that she goes by is Fidelio. So that's why it's called Fidelio. I tell you this story because this is kind of the running theme with our program for this evening. It's this two things really, is the concept of justice and of hope. And so this second piece that we're about to play, the Chorale from the Symphony No. 2, is from Mahler's sort of huge work that's known as the Resurrection Symphony. And he spends most of the symphony contemplating mortality and death and how horrible that is and how there's just nothing after it. And then eventually, towards the end, and this is where this music comes in, he realizes there is something that happens after suffering, after loss, and that life goes on, and that there is something that happens after. And so you will hear a little bit of the Dies Irae sort of death theme at the very, very beginning, and then there's going to be light at some points in this work. So this is the Chorale from the Symphony No. 2 by Mahler. I agree. These students have been so awesome today. I was just telling them before we started the concert that I wish I had more time with them. I don't know if you know, but we've only just met today. It's insane. I know. So these teenagers are amazing. They know how to do calculus. They can write apps. Who does all this other stuff, and then on top of that, also play musical instruments. Playing a musical instrument actually does make them smarter, though. So congrats to you if you are the parent of one of these kids, putting them in music education and putting that effort to drive them to private lessons, driving them to all of the rehearsals, being here in these seats, and supporting them. So let's give it up for our parents here. They have absorbed so much information today. It's insane. We've really only had, less than 5 hours to try and put these 4 pieces together, and I'm so proud of the work that we have already done, and we're already halfway through our program. It's so crazy. I already like these kids. It's too bad they don't go to my school. It's too bad. But perhaps our paths will cross at some point, because music is forever. So let's move on to our third piece, North Star to Freedom. This one is from a composer who is not dead. First 2 are dead, sorry. This is Newbold. She is a great composer who has done all sorts of school orchestra arrangements as well as original works. And this one is about Harriet Tubman and the Underground Railroad. So we did a little history review today of what the heck is that? So in case you've forgotten all the stuff that you learned in school, that's okay, I will tell you right now. The Underground Railroad was about Harriet Tubman, who was a slave, and she escaped. And instead of just saying, hey, I escaped, bye, she decided to go back like 19 more times to go and rescue 300 more slaves, risking her life every single time. And alongside Harriet Tubman were, of course, a lot of very, very brave souls that risked their lives. And one thing that helped keep them going was the North Star. In the darkness, as they were trying to make their escape, that was one way for them to navigate their way around and get these 300 slaves to freedom. So, hence, this is the North Star to Freedom. we end with our last piece, it's very important that I thank some super duper important people that are way more meaningful to these kids than I am. Can we have all of our wonderful music educators in this district stand up, please? These are your true heroes in this district. They are the ones that work with these wonderful students all the time. They are their mentors. They wear so many different hats. It's not just about the music. It's about so much more. I've taught for 23 years now. It's kind of crazy. And still, I feel like it is such a gift to be able to make music with students. But even more than that, I feel like part of my job is to just inspire them to be better humans and to learn a lot of life skills that they're going to use in other areas of their life. For instance, we've learned quite a few little nuggets today, didn't we? Things that can pertain to maybe even them driving, like maybe you should know what that sign means so you don't drive off a cliff. Things like that, look things up, all that stuff to be proactive with their learning. I encourage you to encourage these guys to continue to pursue their music journeys, whether they're going to end up doing music in their future, or just to understand a little bit more of what it means to adapt and to be a little bit more human. Which is what living really is about. So with our last piece, do we have any Star Wars fans in the audience? Yes, thank you. All right, I am a huge Star Wars geek. I love Star Wars. It's hard to say exactly why, but I think just ever since I was little, I just understood the concept of good versus evil. And this concept of there's this evil empire, and you have to have good, courageous people to be able to say, hey, what you're doing is not cool. Of course, we have to be courageous and then build a rebellion, hence the rebellion is reborn. So this piece of music is from Star Wars The Last Jedi, where there's a lot of loss. And so you're going to hear this in this piece, where there's battles, and then everything's fine, and then battles, and then everything's fine, and we'll see what happens at the end, I suppose. So I'm going to invite our little mascot here to kind of just be our inspiration. Well, let's see if I can do this one with one hand. Woo! Okay, so I brought my little friend. I told you I am a Star Wars geek. I have all sorts of toys at home. So BB-8's going to be our little mascot while we play and keep us motivated. So this is Rebellion is Reborn. Again, thank you so much for being here and for supporting these awesome students. Again, I wish we had more time together. It's so fun to just make music. So, all right, here we go. Rebellion.